Ponytails. Read by Scribbler.
Overture by Super Giant Robot. I'll never forget the first day I saw her. Never. Best thing that ever happened in my life. I know you're thinking to yourself, how'd some pony like you end up with some pony like her? How did this whole shebang start? Well, that's what I'm gonna tell you. And it's not the sort of thing you'd expect. Pull up a seat and let Andy Vi spin you a story. So, there I was one day, wandering down a street, not really doing anything at all. Just chilling, you know? Enjoying the weather, that sort of thing. Then, suddenly, I hear this quiet sound, just barely loud enough for my ears to pick up. Sounded kind of like one of them violin things, but deeper. At the time, I thought it was kind of neat sound. Might make for a good sample to use in my next mix. Something new. Something original. Something to make the next crowd's heads turn. So I go follow it, right? And the sound picks up further as I search. Then I come up to the opera house, which is where the sound's coming from. Now, that ain't my sort of groove, and rightly so. I'm the queen of the turntables, the royalty of the rave, and the duchess of the dance groove. Not some prissy, fancy, schmancy type. But this sound was so neat and so new to me that I just needed to check it out. As soon as I get there, though, the music comes to a stop, and then a bunch of ponies start coming out. Well, I figure, I'm already here, right? In for a penny, in for a bit, and all that. So I head over and ask about what was just playing. The ticket guy said it was something called a solo cello. Later I learned there was no H. How's that work? And then the act was finishing tomorrow. So I buy a ticket, right? Spur of the moment, I swear. I swear! I was just there to find a source of the sound. Honest. And I know now you're probably thinking to yourself, vinyl? Going to see a classical band? Well, yeah, so what? Hey, you want to know how things started out, so I'm telling you how. Bear with me here, okay? The guy gives me a bit of a weird look, like he figures I'm just yanking his rein, but he sees I'm serious, so he sells me a ticket. Bits are bits, and mine are as good as any pony else's, right? The guy gives me another funny look, and then just shrugs. Bits and tickets change hooves, and I head back to my digs. The next night, I clean myself up a bit before I go back to the opera house. Nice long shower, bit of a comb to me, and a pair of my more modest sunglasses. I never leave home without them. It's an image thing. You know, tidy up as best I can. I mean, of course, there's nothing wrong with the way I look. I'm a thing of beauty, and that can't be improved upon. And yeah, I am humble about it, thank you very much. But even I know you gotta fancy up special for this sort of thing. So after I get myself all done up, I head out for an evening of classical music. Jeez, there's something I never thought I'd hear myself say. So I get there, and the ticket guy's standing up front. Not the guy I bought the ticket from, but the guy who takes your ticket. The usher, I think he's called. He breaks off from his ushing, or whatever, as I trot up to him, and gives me a look over. I can tell he really doesn't want to let me in. I can practically smell the sneer on him, which he wisely keeps to himself. But I bought a ticket, so he had to. Huffy little jerk. I headed in and gave the place the eye. Reminds me a lot of a movie theater. Maybe a bit fancier. You know, same sort of groove, but different enough that it stands out. More polished-like. Thinking it was just like a movie theater, I tried getting some popcorn, maybe a soda, but they don't have that kind of thing. It's a real hoity-toity type affair, and that just isn't done. And I get some more sniffy looks. I don't get it myself. I mean, how are you supposed to enjoy this without snacks? A nice warm bag of popcorn, an extra butter. is half the fun when you see a movie. Heck, it's practically traditional. Seems just like another reason not to go to these sort of things in the first place. At least to me, anyway. Anyway, I'm in there and the place starts filling up. I'm pretty noticeable, as Everypony else is gussied up, and here I am with my not-so-fancy sunglasses and spiky do. I might have tidied it up some, but my mane always goes spiky after a bit. Part of what makes me cool, I guess. I'm still being humble here. I got the evil eye from a bunch of them, just like the ticket guy and the others. I just ignored them. Seeing as how the snacks weren't gonna happen, and all I was getting instead was a slowly crowded theater and dirty looks, I headed to the auditorium. Gotta admit, I was getting a bit cheesed off at that point. No snacks, Pony's acting all huffy, and apparently I'm doing everything wrong. But don't let it be said that Vinyl is a quitter. I got this far, I may as well go for a home run, right? So anyway, there I am in the auditorium, and then this sound starts building up, like what I heard yesterday, but deeper. And it keeps building up, and a spotlight slowly comes on, and she's there. A light gray filly with a dark mane and tail and a white collar and light pink bow tie around her neck. And the first thing I think when I see her is, she's really easy on the eyes. Like one of those statues they got in the Royal Garden. I almost feel embarrassed for the way I look compared to her. Almost. She holds her cello, which really is like a giant violin. Kinda neat. Up in her left forehoof, and the build-up stops as she lowers her bow held in her right. She just stands there for a few moments, like she's considering her next move, her long mane drifting behind her. Then she raises the bow to the strings, and her light violet eyes close. And she begins playing. And my heart opens as I listen. Yeah, I know, sappy as hell, right? But you had to be there. You had to hear what I heard. You had to see what I saw. It's like she and the cello were making love. Tastefully, though, like in a play. She held it close and gently stroked its strings with the bow. And it sang back at her. And she continued playing, and her eyes were closed, like all that matters is the song it sings, and all she wants to do is listen and remember. It's like the only things in the world were the two of them. Nothing else existed. Just her, the cello, and the song they made together. And while she's playing, she has this look on her face. A look of utter peace and serenity. Like she could drop dead right then and there, and she wouldn't give a damn or even notice because she was right where she wanted to be, doing right what she wanted to do. Because she was so into it. I'd never seen anything like it. I mean, I've seen ponies hit the zone. You know, just where everything that can go right does, and you couldn't make a single mistake if you tried. Hell, I've been there more than once myself. That was the jive I was getting from her. But this time, it was something way deeper than that. Way deeper. It was like she was in the zone's zone. It was like she wasn't playing the music. The music was just happening through her. My eyes filled with tears, and I took my shades off to wipe them away. They fell to the floor, and I just forgot they were there. It was one of the most beautiful things I'd ever heard and seen, and I'll admit that openly for the rest of my life. You may think that a good bass beat is the boss, and of course you'd be right. But this... If I could explain it completely, I wouldn't have to, you know? Like, if you knew where I was coming from, it's because you'd already been there yourself. I have trouble explaining it to myself. She begins to play, and the music, along with the sensation of pure peace and intuitiveness I get from her just hits me like a brick. A couple of minutes later, and I'm quietly sobbing like a young fool. And I didn't care at all. Then suddenly, almost too suddenly for me, it was over. I didn't even notice as the audience slowly exited. I just stood there in silence, tears streaming down my face, looking up at her from the now empty theater. and she noticed me and my tears. And she smiled gently. And that was the first day I saw Octavia.
That was Overture. It was written by Supergiant Robot and read by Scribbler. Okay, thank you very much for listening. This was intended to be my last fic of 2014, and instead it has ended up being the first fic of 2015. So, we're starting the year with some OctaScratch. I can think of worse ways to start a year, although I'm fairly certain Present Perfect will disagree with me. Right, I haven't got much to add at the end of this one. I am coming off of a day in which I cooked quite a big meal, and I would have recorded this end blurb earlier, because I had this fic edited at the weekend, but time kind of got away from me, and I'd intended to record this end blurb this evening and get it all updated, and, no, not updated, uploaded, except that I then fell asleep on Suki, because apparently big meals make me very sleepy. So, what to say? I hope everybody's 2015 is a vast improvement on 2014. Because 2014, with a couple of notable exceptions, and the people that relates to know who they are, it was pretty shit. Did not enjoy 2014 over much. So, here's hoping 2015 is markedly better. And considering half of the horror stories I've heard from other people, I hope this is the same for everybody. 2015. We're planning for a good one. Well, I am, and I'm dragging you all along with me, with all the random fics I have planned for this year. Amongst which, there is a group of fanfic readers here on YouTube. In amongst them are people like The Lost Narrator, Gutia's Serenade, Goombasa, myself, and several others, and we are planning on doing something called a Month of Lurve in February, Lurve. And it is in a month in which we're only going to release romance stories, but we've each of us got a theme, and they're not the themes that you would expect, so don't expect lots of hearts and flowers, lovey-dovey, nonsense. No. You know me by now. The sad fic is strong in this one. And the Lost Narrator is involved in this, so that should tell you something. So, that's what we've got planned for February. There is also a multi-parter, probably the largest cast I've ever worked with, a multi-parter fanfic reading that's going to be coming out sometime in the new year. There is No Place Like Home, which episode 1 will be premiering in the new year, and episode 3 of Heroic Tale of Heroically Heroic Heroes, because yes, that is carrying on. I've been asked that several times by people. Yes, Heroic Tale is still alive. It took us a while to get back on our feet after Pounce's stroke, but we are going to continue with this. I've spoken to Pounce. He's ready to be back on board, and we're going gung-ho on this, so look out for that one as well. Plus, there's all sorts of other projects and things as well, including, a while back I passed 30,000 subscribers, and I had planned this rather elaborate 4-part series. And I've written 3/4 of it, and recorded some of it, and it is the top 20 fanfics, according to me, and the reasons why, and all sorts of different things. It's a really quite elaborate thing. It's got commissioned artwork and specialised things, and all sorts. And, yeah, because I'm a slowpoke and real life keeps kicking me in the arse, it's not come out yet. And I recently passed 34,000 subscribers. I mean, oh my god! Where are all you people coming from? And, just Yeah. Sincere moment for a second. Yeah. I could not do this without everybody else whom I interact with, whom I've befriended, whom I see comments from. I may not always reply, but I do read all the comments when they land in my inbox. I wake up in the morning and I check my Hotmail and I read the comments that people have left. And I'm not lying to say that some days those comments are the reason I get out of bed in the morning. So, like I said, sincere moment. I'm not prattling about now. Thank you. Each and every one of you. Ugh. You have made this cynical old curmudgeon and her love of small pastel horses very, very happy. And during some really tough times in 2014. And there were a fuck ton of them. There were a lot of really, really hairy moments in 2014. Some in real life, some online. And it is only with the help and support and friendship and love of the people whom I've met through this fandom that got me through a lot of the time. I know that sounds very, very self-indulgent to say, but it's true. Whenever I get to moments like this where I have to actually talk sincerely about things, I completely blank on what I want to say. So I shall probably stop. But please know, nobody ever asked me to do this. And when I first started, there were days when it seemed like nobody ever wanted me to do this. Fanfic readings and things of the like. Recently it seems to have become quite popular to read fanfics and to do things like that. But when I first started in 2012, I was preparing in the October of 2012. There were actually very few fanfic readers around on YouTube. And we were sort of considered bottom of the barrel end of fandom. How creative can you be? You're just reading somebody else's story. You're not even writing it yourself. Blah, 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 blah. And in the years that followed, it has sort of picked up a bit, and there's a bit more respect for fanfic reading. And there are a few more people out there there's quite a lot more people out there who do it. And it has been amazing to see these projects grow, to see these people come into their own, to watch the entire segment of the fandom grow. And it has been amazing. All these people out there whom I've met. If I've talked to you on Skype, if I've talked to you on YouTube, if I've talked to you on DeviantArt or FinFiction or just via email or wherever. It's all been really special. And not like licking the windows special. I mean like, how can I put this? I think I probably never truly grew up. For those who don't know, I am a proper old bat. With a few notable exceptions, I'm generally the oldest person in whatever chat or group or project I'm in. And I've been a pony fan almost all of my life. I was given an original pony figurine while I was in my cot. And it was one of the first non-cuddly toys I ever owned, and ponies have always been a part of my life. And so, getting into this fandom, and just being here, and being part of it, and being able to do these wonderful creative things, and meet these incredible creative people. These people are so enthusiastic, and so giving, and so, just inspiring, and admirable, and just bloody fun to be around. It was the best thing I ever did when I bought a microphone and started to read stories about small pastel-coloured horses. Yes, even the ones where they're killing each other. So, as we go into 2015, I thank you all, and I look forward to working more with you, to producing more for you, to showing you more of the inside of my head, and to just seeing where this fandom goes. Roll on Season 5, And who knows? Maybe this year I'll actually get to finish watching Rainbow Rocks. Be lovely to each other, and good night, everybody, and Happy New Year.